All right, we'll take it away then. Good morning, everybody. This is the horticulture session of our virtual first annual ever job fair. As you may have known, we normally do this in person at the rec center, and we have stations. So this is kind of our virtual version of that first time. This is something that I don't do very often, but it's very informal. If you have a question, since there's only a few people, I don't mind if you go ahead and shout out a question as I'm going if you need some clarification or if something comes up. I do have some time at the end for some question and answer. I don't know if I'm going to see the chat, so if you just want to shout out your questions, that would probably be easiest since we don't have too many people. I don't think we'll have problems with people talking on each other. So, but if you do have a question, just feel free to stop me and ask away. So like I said, this is horticulture. So my name is Scott Moncrief. I am the City of Dublin horticulturist. I have been with the City of Dublin since 2006. So I'm going on 15 years here with the city. The horticulture is a work group made up of myself and 6 full-time assistant horticulturists. Each assistant horticulturist has a crew, so to speak, of 2 to 3 seasonal employees. So this is what this position is advertising for. So for the most part, you work in a crew of 3 to 4 people, and you're responsible for a certain amount of areas in the city to take care of. To give you an overview, this may be a repeat of other sessions, but I put this slide in. The City of Dublin consists of 48,000 residents plus and growing. We have 400 full-time staff members and about 300 part-time employees, and that's citywide. Home to a lot of businesses, and we have a lot of corporate residents that add to our residents that live in the city. And then, of course, we have lots of events that we work on and work with and have in the city. More importantly to this presentation is the City of Dublin owns over 1,000 acres of parkland and open space, and we maintain over 100 miles of bike trails. So the Parks Operation Group, that's kind of the area that we work in. So that's our office. Parks Operations as a whole, which is our division, it consists of 3 different work units. Parks, who I believe Chris had already had his presentation prior to me. Horticulture, which is our group, and Forestry. And so those are the 3 work groups that entail the Parks Operations. Basically, we're working in the city-owned parklands. Right now, the city owns 63 parks that we maintain. And then on top of that, there's probably a dozen or more natural areas that are not developed parks that we also help take care of. And so there's the why it matters. So the City of Dublin takes a lot of pride in our green space that we own and maintain, and our natural areas for the residents to recreate in. And so, you know, a lot of what we do directly impacts the residents that live in Dublin and affects their lives from day to day. One of the reasons that I really like what we do and what we offer as this position is you get to work outside every day. You're not inside, you're outside in the outdoors, rain or shine, cold or hot. We enjoy all of it, and we work in all of it. The other thing that we have to offer is the crew that you work with are truly experts in the horticulture field. They know a lot about plant material. They know a lot about taking care of landscapes, passing on that pretty valuable lessons onto our seasonal staff for them to learn. So there's a couple pictures, but the picture on the top is it's a little bit older picture, but it's a grouping of forestry and horticulture staff. this is a pretty typical job site. So we work with a lot of different equipment. We work in a lot of different places. But more importantly, we serve the community from day to day. So we interact with the community quite a bit. And we work in a lot of different areas amongst our residents. And we do really have a lot of pride in what we do, taking care of the parks in our natural areas. So that's kind of another perk of the job is you get to, kind of work for the community and be a part of that overall thing. So more specifically in relation to horticulture, this is where my presentation will probably differ from the others a little bit, talking about the job duties and requirements and pay. So Rachel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the starting pay starts at $12.58 an hour.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that number was right off the bat. So that's the starting pay. One perk of our job is we do like to have people come back from year to year, and we often do invite employees back from season to season. Each year you do get a little raise in pay. So that's something that you can look forward to if you want to make it this a long tenure thing. So what do we do? We're taking care of the landscapes in all 63 of the park areas. So we do all the planting, trees, perennials, shrubs, annuals. We plant all that plant material. We also maintain all that plant material. We do an awful lot of mulching. We mulch in almost every single one of those park areas every year. We do a lot of weed control. That's probably our two main things that we spend most of our time, especially in the summer, is in weed control and mulching. We do a good amount of tree maintenance, both pruning, tree removal, planting, but we do maintain all the trees in the park areas. And then, especially in the summer, we do a considerable amount of watering. So most of the job duties that we do is in a team. You're working with a group, with the exception of watering, which is when a lot of times you'll be by yourself. So there is a variety of different group settings that you work in, anywhere from by yourself to working within a group and a team. Timeline is scheduled. So our season is scheduled. This is weather dependent, of course, but we're scheduled to start April 5th, and that's a typical starting time for our season. Our season runs until the end of November, sometimes into the beginning of December. At that time, we do furlough our seasonal employees. So, but it's a good long season. We almost always work into December. But I always tell folks at the beginning that we for sure go until the end of November. Our work hours are from 6:45 to 3:15. And that is rain or shine. We work 40 hours a week, regardless of the weather. We don't tend to send people home when the weather is poor. We always have stuff to do. And so you can pretty much count on 40 hours a week in that season. So there is some opportunity for overtime, but it varies depending on the season. But sometimes we do have overtime opportunities. We do have a half an hour for lunch each day. Does anybody have any questions so far? So, so that's kind of what our work group is and what we do. We work a lot of different on a lot of different pieces of equipment. We train on all of those pieces of equipment. So everything that you do, you get pretty thorough training on. We do apply some chemicals in our weed control, so that is something that we do. We apply herbicides, and some people aren't too crazy about that, but that is something that is kind of a necessity of what we do. So I'd like to say that out front. We do provide uniforms for our seasonal employees, both for warm weather and cold weather. And we do provide a boot allowance that you get a refund of boots. We do require steel-toed boots to work with us. One question that often comes up is our minimum age is 18 to work for our work group. But yeah, other than that, the next steps is, filling out an application, and then I would contact the people that we would be interviewing. It will be virtual this year, unlike other years, but so if you fill out an application, then you will probably get some kind of electronic communication from myself or one of the other work groups if you apply for multiple. And then we would set up a virtual interview, kind of like what we're doing here. Let's see, I don't know. Okay, this is, have other groups already covered this, Rachel?
Just Chris.
Okay. So this isn't something that I know a lot about, but if you're interested, I'm sure we can get you more information. But the city does offer a tuition discount from Franklin University, so that's something that you could could take advantage of if you did work for the city on a seasonal capacity. So that's just some information about that. Again, if you had more questions about that, I'm sure myself or Rachel could get that information to you. And then that's pretty much all I had prepared.
Awesome. Yeah. Are there any other questions from anybody that's called in or here with us?
So I know that you guys said it starts in April, but is it okay if we start like we only work during the summer?
Yeah, so we do have a limited amount of our seasonal employees we hire that are summer employees. I'll be honest, we are looking for as many of our full season people as we can get, just because of the amount of work that we have specifically in the spring and in the fall. But we do have a certain amount of people that we do hire for summer positions. So I would, feel free to apply for that. And then, we can see how many applicants we get for the full season to see if we will have availability for that summer season. But we do offer that. Usually every year we'll have like 6 or so people on staff that work just in the summer. And usually that's for 3 months. We try to get people for at least 3 months in the summertime. So I would probably ask for at least that time commitment.
So do you have any part-time positions?
Not really. We pretty much will hire for a 40-hour work week. It's tough for us to staff for the part-times. Now, we are flexible in the fact that sometimes we'll have people that will work full-time for some of the part of it and then work part-time for another part of it. But we do try to get people for those 40 hours just because of how we run our crews, and we're out and try to minimize the disruptions to the crews.
Okay. Do you hire retirees?
We do. Yep, absolutely. Our work group is very diverse, gender-wise, age-wise. We have a big mix of different types of people, but yeah, we absolutely do.
Okay. And how do you fill out an application?
So it's on our city's website. Rachel can probably speak a little bit better to this than I can.
Yeah, no, good question. We had this earlier too. So Vicki, if you remember the registration form you filled out, in that confirmation email, you should have, there should be a link to our careers page. I can always forward it along after this info session as well. But we have all of our active applications on governmentjobs.com/careers/DublinOH. And then the title of the position you're looking for horticulture, it's called seasonal maintenance worker. And then it has a couple of the other groups on there too. So forestry, horticulture, parks, and streets. And then within the application, you can indicate which specific group you're interested in. And you can always indicate multiple if you are interested in a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will ask you to forward that to me so
Absolutely.
that I can check it out. Okay.
Yes. Happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any questions they want to shout out? All right, well, here, I'll throw this up there if you want to jot down. This is my information. If you ever had a question afterwards and you really wish you would have asked, or if, if you think of something later, you can, email is the best usually to reach me. I'm in and out of the office quite a bit, but I do have a voicemail, obviously, that you can leave me a message, but email is usually the best to get a hold of me. You can certainly ask me any questions that you have later on.